Hey, this is Kerry Martell for Power Palace Gym. Today we're going to talk about the big question, huge debate. Is it okay to drop dumbbells or not? Well, Power Palace Gym, it's okay to let go of the dumbbells after you finish your set, which is kind of different than dropping it in my opinion, okay? So you don't throw the weights, you don't hurl them to the ground like a madman, okay? You let them go at the bottom of your rep, okay? So what does that look like? What it looks like is kind of like this. I'm just grab some 40s here for a flat bench, okay? And if you're down and you do a couple pumps, right? And then you reach muscle failure. You literally can't do another one, right? So your lower come down this area here, and then you're just gonna drop them like that, okay? You're gonna just let them go basically. You're not throwing them, you're not hurling them, you're dropping them down here. And before you drop them, you gotta make sure that there isn't anybody else around here whose feet could potentially get hurt. Like, you need to be mindful of your surroundings. As you may have noticed, when I dropped them, they had a tendency to sort of, tumble around. And that happens for two reasons. The first reason is that we got 3/4 inch thick stall mats in here. And then of course we've got this rubberized protective coating around the dumbbells as well. So that gives them a bit of a bounce. Now, there are some manufacturers of dumbbells these days who cut corners, right? They make shitty dumbbells. And the number one reason why the vast majority of commercial gyms will not let you drop dumbbells, even if they do have stall mats down, is because they have invested into shitty dumbbells that have bad welds. That's just the reality of it, right? Most of them don't have pro-style dumbbells. We have pro-style dumbbells over here, okay? The heavier ones. And with these, they don't have the rubberized coating, but they also have these loose plates that can be retightened, okay? So they're not really on there with weld, they're on there with bolts, okay? And you can retighten them as they get looser versus the more type of newer models, which are all welded together, right? And you can see that the ends of the rubber is more likely to come off than the actual bending of the dumbbells. Like, look at these dumbbells, right? None of them are bent. I hear about this all the time when I read about on the internet. Okay, people are like, oh, dropping the dumbbells will bend the handles. Do any of these handles look bent to you? No, they're not bent. Not a single one of them. The ends of the freaking dumbbells, the rubber comes off before, you're going to bend these. Why? Because they're actually pretty well made. They're pretty well made dumbbells. So they're not going to break if you just drop them, gingerly on the ground at the end of your rep. How do you do it with another type of exercise, right? Let's say that you're doing some type of overhead press, right? Okay. If I'm here, I'm doing some presses, right? Press, 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 right? I can't do another rep. I bring it down here, bring it to my side, and I dump it. Okay? It's that simple. It's too easy. And now there's some people that will say, oh, you need to gingerly, you need to put it back down, or you need to put it on your legs, step up with it, carry it. The problem with that is when you reach absolute muscle failure, when you're holding dumbbells and doing some type of arm exercise, right? What has happened when you reach muscle failure is that your shoulder muscles are 100% fatigued. They cannot maintain the weight anymore. So now what's happening is your tendons are trying to maintain the weight for you. And you do not want to do that because your tendons will tear and you will be f***ed up for life, okay? I'm serious. You'll get yourself a nice rotator cuff injury and you will not be lifting weights for a very long time. Perhaps not ever again. I have injuries to my shoulder right here. It limits the type of stuff that I can do. And I work around my injuries. There's people with far worse rotator cuff injuries, okay? Where they can't even do a bench press anymore. They can't do certain exercises ever again the rest of their lives. And part of the way that you get those rotator cuff injuries is by reaching muscle failure and then trying to do yet another rep when you're putting huge amount of stress on that tendon because you're using free weights. It's one thing to work past momentary muscle failure while you're using a machine. Totally different when you're using barbells and dumbbells, because that's going to place enormous stress on the tendon tears, and then you're kind of okay? So I suggest letting go of the weight at the end of your rep. You don't drop it from overhead, okay? You don't hurl it to the ground, throw it around like a madman. That's not what we're talking about. You're just letting it go at the end of your motion so that you protect your tendons, okay? Protect the tendons. Don't get yourself a permanent injury. All right, guys, this should be sufficient video to cover this topic. And again, like if you had a commercial gym and I want you to drop the weights, they probably have dumbbells. It's my opinion. Thanks.